I want to start this video off by asking you personally about what you think it means to be a man or a woman. What do real men look like?
Every hour of every day, be the man of today.
What clothes do women wear? What's their body language like? What kind of people do they fall in love with? What kind of language do they use?
Paris Hilton, hi girl!
Hi, gorgeous.
I mean, we go way back.
The next thing I'd ask is, where do all of these ideas come from? Are they born in you like a natural instinct? Judith Butler challenged all of these traits and even where they come from. And in this video, we're going to look at her work in a little bit more detail. Now, to understand Butler's work, we first need to think about gender in the terms that it's historically always existed in, perhaps even the same terms that you automatically thought of at the start of this video. Theorists like Lucan and Levi Strauss always thought of gender in binary terms, male or female. But the problem with this is it fails to distinguish between sex and gender. Instead, it makes the assumption that if you are born male, you're automatically going to grow up masculine, and if you're born female, you're going to grow up feminine. So like many other great theorists, what Judith Butler did was she pointed out something which in retrospect is incredibly obvious. Sex and gender are different things. Yes, you can be born male or female, but your gender identity, how masculine or feminine you are, that's not born in you. That's something completely separate which is constructed. And when you stop and think about it, it makes absolute sense, doesn't it? Does someone born female automatically become this?
I'm going to switch over to this brush because this brush seems like it might work better. It's the brush that I used for my BB cream.
Are males destined to become this from birth?
And with any new challenge, you can...
So the big question now is, if gender isn't born in you, where does your gender identity come from? It makes sense that like most of your understanding of the world around you, it comes from your culture, the people around you, your parents, your friends, stuff on TV.
Okay, it's missing something. Oh, I know. Okay.
Really? A purse?
It's not a purse. It's a shoulder bag.
Looks like a woman's purse.
And what we see is the performance of gender that we've seen for generations and generations. They're historic. So we are used to seeing girls wearing pink and boys wearing blue. We're used to young girls playing with Barbie dolls and boys playing with action figures. We're used to teenage boys learning to be overly assertive and aggressive. We're used to girls learning to apply makeup. Butler calls these performances, these rituals that we do every single day, gender performativity.
Your belongings don't make you a better man. Your behavior does.
Acts performed by people to assert their identity. So rather than these behaviors being the result of gender, Butlers say they are the things that create gender. They define it. So in essence, the more you identify with being a real man or a girly girl, all you're really saying is you conform to society's definition of what males and females are and you actively perform it. When you put it like that, masculinity and femininity almost seem fake, don't they? And yet they are roles that we do perform.
Hello, Halberstram. Nice tie. How the hell are you?
Because society has an expectation that you should act a certain way and be in heterosexual relationships based on your sex. Judith Butler calls this phenomenon heteronormativity. Now, Butler says that the media, be it in magazines, movies, TV, they contribute to all of this and reinforce straight gender roles by primarily offering us heteronormative representations. So, in movies, we typically see the stars in straight relationships. We see men acting out their stereotypical assertive behaviors.
But I mean, if you have a problem like that, I mean, we could just step outside, we could figure it out.
Oh man, there's no problem.
We see women dressed like this in music videos and perform sexually gratifying roles for men, and then we re-perform it in society. And then, just as important as what we do see is what we don't see in the media. The comparative lack of homosexual, transgender representations in the media reinforces the dominant ideology that men and women should default to heterosexual relationships and perform traditional gender roles. Now, I'm not saying there aren't films with gay characters and trans characters. Of course there are. But my point is, they are the minority in mainstream cinema. Now, the result of all this, according to Butler, has been damaging for non-binary, non-heterosexual identities and creates gender trouble. People who don't fit the mold have difficulty and pain performing their non-heterosexual identity. Think about all the times you've seen a gay or a trans character in a soap opera who's absolutely torn up about coming out.
Well, let me guess. You got somebody pregnant.
Or a trans character who undergoes traumatic surgery to undergo their transition. This all reinforces the idea that people should be heterosexual. The alternative is just too painful. Let's look at Brokeback Mountain as an example. We're presented with a gay relationship, which is good in terms of representing something other than heterosexual expectations. But the narrative is largely about this being a forbidden relationship, which is fitting in terms of the context of the mid-20th century America, but nonetheless reminds us that homosexuality is not the heteronorm. So what do we do about this gender trouble? Butler says the key to breaking the link between sex and gender is to actively perform subversive gender roles. Men painting their nails, wearing makeup, women wearing suits. Remember, not only are these items man-made, but the categorization of them being for only women or only men is also man-made. Jaden Smith is a great pioneer of this, who is actively seen sporting a dress, or Kristen Stewart wearing a suit. These progressive young people are paving the way for people to be allowed to perform their own gender identity, not one which is enforced on them by society. So that's all there is for this one, guys. It's a really, really great theory that you can apply to almost anything because it's going to fit into one of two categories. Either the characters in the text you're studying, they are performing their traditional gender roles, or they're subverting for it. So it's a really, really great one to apply. Now, if you're looking for where to go next and you want to stick with feminism, you might want to check out Laura Mulvey's male gaze theory, and I've done a video about that right here. Or you might want to be a bit more progressive and look at the female gaze, and I've done a video about that, which you can see right here. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.